Fresh Williams here from Big Picture Film Club, and today I'm joined by the lead star of Yardie, Aml Ameen. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you very much. Happy to be here talking about what at least is a classic in my heart, in my life. I love Yardie. I love how it all came together, very serendipitous. For maybe we'll know how it came about with me and Idris, but I love it. I love it, and I love that time, and so I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, I wanted to talk about kind of your relationship with Idris to kind of start off with. And, you know, Yardie is his directorial debut, and I guess that's a lot of kind of pressure on him to find the right actor that he trusts in this lead role. And so, you know, even before you kind of jump into the actual developing this character of Dennis Campbell, how did you foster and build that relationship with Idris, that where you both trusted each other to kind of do right by each other?
Yeah, I mean, I met Idris in around kidulthood, so 2006, and so I was already watching stuff like season 2 of The Wire. And so I remember meeting him really briefly outside a club or whatever, and a friend of his, a DJ friend, introduced us. And then, you know, I watched him just grow from strength to strength, and he was one of the people that encouraged me to go to the States. And so our connection began way before the thought of working together did. And he's someone that obviously is extremely groundbreaking to what he's done to the business as an actor. And then, you know, for my generation, I'm one of the first that went out to the States and started working there solidly. One of the first that came and actually did it from the perspective of having a career in the UK. So there's kind of like a lot of kind of simultaneous things going on. And then I was just literally on a plane coming from London to LA, and he was on the plane as well. We bumped into each other, sat next to each other, and then I ended up speaking about life and family. And he's told me about Yardie, and I heard about it because I just watched you in the Maze Runner, and I thought you were wicked, and you know, maybe do you want to? And he offered it to me on the plane.
Oh wow! And
he goes, "Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Are you mad? Of course I want to do it." And you know, to do the Yardie, which I remember the book, and to do Yardie from the perspective of my cultural background being, you know, Caribbean, Jamaican, and Vincentian, and just being just like, you know, just being now having an opportunity to be a custodian of something that was that prominent. And then also just wanting to impress him. And that's always a good thing. If you want to impress your director because you respect them, I had that feeling, you know, wanting to impress him. And so that was in 2015 when we started talking about it, went back and forth. He shot some films, I shot some films, and then we both ended up in Canada at the same time shooting different movies. And then the movie was beginning to go. And he just said to me, "Look, this is, you know, I feel like this is a really, you know, this is an acting defining performance for any actor." Agreed. And to show, you know, because there's a lot of meat on the bones. And he just said, "I want you to do method acting." And I said, "All right." And I went and moved to Jamaica. I went to move Jamaica around February, March of that year. We were filming around May, June, July. And so I moved to Jamaica for about 6 weeks and just assimilated myself into the culture in Kingston with my family, you know, met different people at Studio One and the Marleys and different things. And by the time I came back to England and was in pre-production, you know, I was living more and more in the space of D with every passing day.
What happens when you get into that mental space and then you're sort of like reading the lines then and you're thinking, is this what D would say? Or like how much leeway do you have in sort of forming that character?
I mean, in short, you know, you read the script. It just depends on, everyone's got their different methods to get into their versions of things. But mine, that was effective, and I'd done method acting once before, was kind of just living in the shoes of the person and having the memories of the person and continually playing back the memories and then doing stuff to yourself physically that shape you, listening to the music of that era and just assimilate. Like the mind is a very, very fragile thing. You just watch 10 horror movies in a row and don't go to sleep, and you'll be able to do things or think things that you didn't think was possible. And so it's all about that. And then once I got myself into that headspace, I didn't have to ask anybody what Dee would do, because I'd formulated a version of myself that lived in that space, and actually was more challenging letting it go when I finish with it. And you know, certain parts change you a bit, you know, and that was definitely a part that changed me as a person to a degree.
Were there any sort of, I guess, surprises on set then, or things that perhaps you had a built-up expectation of, and when you're shooting it and you're in this character in this world, and it's like, oh no, it's not that?
I don't understand the question.
Were there things on set that you were surprised of?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my own actions would surprise me sometimes, yes, within the framework of a scene. So there's a moment that never got put into the film, actually. Well, me and Chantel Jackson, who plays Yvonne, we're talking, and it's about Clancy, and you know, the way me smashing up the place, which is in the movie, that wasn't really in the script. That's just something that happened. It's a funny thing. Acting's a funny thing, you know. It's pushing yourself into the circumstance and demanding truth from yourself, and then finding out what's been stored up in the subconscious. So, yeah, I was definitely surprised a lot, but there was also a lot of joy. And so the first half of the movie, we did the London bits, and then we went to Jamaica. And when we went to Jamaica, it was the younger version of Dee who had not actually experienced some of the trauma that had happened in certain years. I also broke down what happened throughout Dee's life. So you got Dee is the kid, his brother's shot, his brother's murdered and shot. Cool. He gets a bit older and he's got the small locks. And in between with the small locks and being a delivery boy, he's not quite got that thing in his eye yet. He's not quite those experiences. And so I asked myself, what happens between Dee having the shorter locks, was like, yeah, man, yeah, to having the long locks where he's smashing Mark Rhino's head in. And when you look at the truth of what would have actually happened, which is never seen on screen, if you look at the source material, as in the book shows you the possibilities of who Dee can be. And it's pretty horrific. So he's done things in those short 3 to 4 years, that window, that has made him become an even, a more tortured person.
I mean, looking back on it now, I mean, how do you find the audience reception to the film? I think, you know, when you're on the initial promo tour, it can be kind of hectic, back-to-back interviews, and you know, critics can be and reviewers can be one thing, but how has that sort of audience feedback, both in Jamaica and in the UK, been to the film?
It's a great question. I mean, I left the film, I went into the film going, I have a Jamaican family and I know how they can be about certain things. You know, they just call it like it is. And so I felt them extremely honored, and other people extremely honored by my dedication to bringing the truth of the character forward. That's what I experienced. I recall a man at the premiere goes, yo, they come to hate upon you because you're not Jamaican. I said, I'm Jamaican. He goes, no, you're not Jamaican. Brother, yo, man. You know, and just like, it was that vibe. And, you know, and then I mean, listen, it depends. Like from a point of view of audience, the people that it was initially meant for, so those people that would be taken back to the Soundboy Clash era in the 70s, they got something out of it. And then you got people that have been watching my career from kidulthood or before, kidulthood the build to now, and just going, oh wow, that's a beautiful marking of growth as an actor and growth as a career, you know. And then you got Idris fans that just like want to see what he does and how he creates. And so to me, I look back on that with nothing but fondness, and I actually received, you know, a lot of flowers for it, you know. So I'm very thankful, and that's why I'm here. That's why I can talk about it. If I wouldn't be on the phone, I'd be like.
And finally, kind of speaking about your kind of growth in your career, what can you tell us about Boxing Day? I know it's perhaps very early in the day and you can't reveal everything, but
I can reveal that as of today, I don't know what day it is, I think it's December 4th or something like that, but we're in our 3rd week of shooting, which I'm really thankful for. Got an amazing cast, from Asia Naomi King, from How to Get Away with Murder, who plays my American fiance, to Marion Jean-Baptiste, who is British royalty, Leanne Pinnock, who is, you know, as famous as you can get in this country for Little Mix. And people have attached themselves to this story, I think mostly because of the script, and mostly because, you know, this is a first of its kind. There is never in the history of British cinema, I've checked, in the history of been a rom-com with Black British people at the forefront of it. And certainly there's never been a Christmas rom-com, you know, and I've just loved so many of those types of films from, you know, it's Christmas now, isn't it? So, you know, like from Notting Hill to Love Actually to This Is Christmas over in the States. I've loved films like Best Man, you know, I've loved films like The Wood and all of these things. And as an actor, many, many moons ago, grew kind of like, all right, cool, I get we're doing one type of story, but, and I love those stories, whether the films I've done, I love them, but we are so much more varied than that as Black British people. And it's important for me personally that if cinema and media tells the story of who we are, if we just left it to what it was before, we'd only be one thing, you know? And I really feel that it's important to reflect that back. So I took elements of my personal life, and after Yardie, actually, literally after Yardie, sat down with my writing partner and wrote. We write anyway, lots of stuff, but I wrote this film, which is basically a love letter to the city, a love letter to the UK, a love letter to our combined cultures as British people across all races, a love letter to my family, and also something fun and romantic and complicated but beautiful and hopeful, and hopefully something that people want to continue to watch every year. You know, the way I structured the movie is that it's kind of a multi-generational love story. So you got the young folks, super young, 17, 18, and in case anyone's like, yo, you're old, bro, I don't want to watch you fall in love. And then you got, you know, the older folks of a different generation, and making sure we still take care of the fact that they experience love and romance and, you know, sensuality and all sorts of amazing things, and just putting it in this time capsule called Boxing Day. And we're having a blast, man. You know, I've just never had so much fun in my life on set continuously. I've had moments for sure, but it's also very rare where Black British people are together in my field. You know, I mean, Michaela Cole's I May Destroy You felt like that, because, you know, you're having people, your peers, together. And, you know, other groups feel that every day, and they might not even know, you know. And so getting that reference of, oh yeah, I was watching Small Axe, and yo, do you remember when The Scrub? Yeah, oh, my mum used to do The Scrub, or The Sweat on the Walls, and it's just shit, you know. So it feels really amazing to be in that space, and I'm very thankful. And I'm doing this film for the audience. I'm doing this film for the UK, you know, for all of the UK. I'm going, look, here is another piece of us. I think the music industry is so much more ahead of the film industry always, and I think that if we can catch up even 50%, we'll be in good hands.
Awesome. Well, Aml Ameen, thank you very much for your time today. It's greatly appreciated, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Yes, mate. Peace and love. And things.
Cool.